Hello and welcome to the NAV integration demo, a part of harnessing the Microsoft Dynamics NAV technology stack for streamlined business-to-business process integration presentation, a part of Spring 2011 Decisions Virtual Conference. This demo will demonstrate process integration between three companies, all running Microsoft Dynamics NAV. You will see how to integrate sales and purchase pricing functionality between multiple companies, as well as how to execute real-time intercompany postings. So to start with, we have three companies. Vendor number 1, vendor number 2, and Kronos. Kronos is doing purchases from vendor number 1 and vendor number 2 and is picking the cheapest vendor in every single transaction. And whenever Kronos is creating a purchase order, there is a sales order which corresponds to that purchase order. And whenever Kronos is posting that sales order, the same corresponding purchase order is posted for chosen vendor. To make it simpler, we have Kronos, which is green. We also have vendor 1, which is red, and we have vendor number 2, which is blue. So if we go to Kronos, I'm going to first configure our vendors. So if I go to list of vendors in my Kronos company, I have vendor number 1 and vendor number 2. So I'm going to configure intercompany integration functionality. So I'm going to specify the web services URL here. And then I'm going to choose with which customer account in my vendor company I'm integrating. So I'm going to refresh the list, and at this stage I'm getting the list of customers in my vendor number 1 company. So here I'm going to choose the account which is called Kronos in vendor 1. So I'm saying OK, and I'm saying OK. I'm also going to do the same for the second vendor. So I'm opening vendor number 2, and I'm specifying the URL, which is a different URL at this stage. And when I do refresh, I'm getting the list of customers in vendor company 2. So here I have Kronos in vendor 2. So I say OK. And with this, I have basically connected my Kronos with my vendor 1 and my vendor 2. So next thing is to connect items. So I have two items. First is called first integrated item. So if I select first integrated item and go to related information, purchases, and then vendors, I can specify from which vendors I'm purchasing this item. So I'm selecting my vendor number 1 and vendor number 2. And also I want to look up vendor item number. So when I look this up, I basically get the list of items in the foreign company, which is vendor number 1 at this stage. So I'm selecting proper item in that company, which is item number 100,290, and I'm selecting OK. For vendor number 2, I'm selecting the item number, I'm refreshing, and I'm getting the list of items in that company. In which stage I'm selecting the item number 300,121. And I'm configuring the same for the second item, purchases vendors. So I'm selecting the vendor number 2, and I'm selecting vendor number 1. And I also, of course, need to specify the item numbers. So when I refresh, again, I get the list of items for vendor number 1. So the second item at this stage, and also for vendor number 2. I get the list of items, and I'm selecting the item number 2. So I say OK. When I'm doing my requisition, I'm always purchasing goods from the vendor which is the cheaper one. So I go to requisition worksheet and I say that I'm purchasing the item and saying first item. So at this stage, the system has picked the vendor number 1. Because the price with this vendor is 100. And also when I choose second item, the system has chosen to buy from vendor number 1 because the price of this vendor is 120. If I go to my vendor number 2 company and I take a look at the prices here, I have 200 and 220. In my vendor number 1, prices for these items are 100 and 120. So let's say that my vendor number 2 wants to make prices a little bit cheaper because he wants to get more sales. So he says that first item is 90 and second item is 95. If I go back to my requisition at this stage, and I again require the same item, at this stage the system is recommending to purchase from vendor number 2 at 90. And also if I do that with this item, the system is recommending to purchase from vendor 2 at 95. So I'm happy with this choice. I'm deleting the lines that I don't need. I'm specifying that I'm purchasing 15 of item 1 and 17 of item 2. And I'm also accepting this action message. So I say new. When I carry out action messages, I'm going to get an order for my vendor number 2. So if I go to my Kronos company and I go to purchase orders, I will see that there is an order for vendor number 2. If I open it, it says that it's purchasing 15 of the first item and 17 of the second item. So when I post this order, it is gone, and if I go to my vendor number 2 company, there should be sales invoice and sales shipment for customer in vendor 2. So I have a balance here which wasn't there before. If I go to posted invoices, I can see that I have an invoice for Kronos in vendor 2. When I open it, I have a first item at 15 and second item at 17. So with this demo, we have seen how to integrate processes with two NAV-based companies using .NET Interop and web services. Thank you for attending.